Mike, I feel like I know you better than you know me because I'm like editing video all the time and I hear your voice for hours and hours. But no, it's good. We're going to sit down and we're going to talk today about your character, Cypher. So we know that Cypher is an elf and you keep that on the down low, but we'll talk about that in a bit. And you're kind of a ranger, hunter, mercenary, bounty hunter, kind of odd jobs, but you like the woodlands. Is that fair to say, job wise?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, I guess why don't we start with, for me, the obvious question that I want to know about is why, why do you feel that you have to keep your elven origin a secret in our world?
well, elves in our world are distrusted, to
Mm,
say the least. Their race is more magical than most, and magic in this world is very much anathema. After
mhm.
desolation, uh, it's very distrusted. So just having those pointy ears will get you marked out as trouble. Cypher with hood down, of course, elven ears, aquiline kind of features, um, the typical elven sharp cheekbones and
Yeah.
all that. Um, I think uh, long hair, jet black.
Born that way, or you intentionally ensure that it is black?
Let's go with intentionally ensure that it's black.
Okay, part of the disguise. You're the only
Right.
elf in the group, so you kind of own the elven race. Is the majority of elves your classic kind of lighter skinned, lighter hair? Okay, I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So you're doing work to cover yourself up. So what is? I'm walking around town. I see you. What am I going to perceive you as?
Usually cloaked and hooded um, to to hide the ears. The hair, most elves would, tie it back in some way or something like that. But as part of his hiding those ears, Sai wears his hair down. So that'll
Okay.
be coming out of the hood. Classically, we think of the elves as having, very smooth skin and, and all that. But I think Sai has been around the block enough that there's some scars and
Okay.
things like that make him more rugged looking than most of his kin, which probably not planned, but definitely helps hide that heritage.
Like the longer you're away from your like ancestral lands and I don't know, just the magic that is in whatever it is in, do you think that is changing you as well?
Yeah, I like that. I think being away from the ancestral homeland definitely takes away some of that vitality and
Hmm.
longevity that's classic to the elves.
Do you think the party knows that you're an
I
elf?
think Graham knows.
Okay.
If we've established that Cypher has been around the inn, has been around the area for a while, and
Right.
yeah, I think Graham knows.
Okay.
I
I mean,
don't think.
Cal is all about like, rights for non-human everything. So I don't think that she would mind if you were, but maybe you guys don't know each other well enough to share that. And
Yeah.
Ashton probably just wouldn't care. She may know
That's
already
totally
because
true.
she sneaks around and peeks in people's windows. But yeah, yeah. So who knows? But well, then I think the next question would then be like, why, if all of your people are intentionally not trying to be around everybody else and they're staying together and you know, they're naturally good and they're trying to fight back corruption, even though everybody thinks that it's their fault. Why aren't you there doing that? Why are you here? Why are you here?
I think Sai had some difficulties back home.
Okay.
Uh, I think we'll leave the details of that for the future, perhaps. But suffice it to say, he was, if not unwelcome, uh,
Mm.
his presence was not celebrated.
Okay.
I think that what happened put Psy in such a um, negative light among his
Mm,
people that rather than deal with that and the the long-lived elves, I imagine, can hold a grudge for a long time.
yeah.
Um, so Sai would have, without a word, just taken off,
I
uh,
like that.
kind of
Yeah.
out to seek his fortune elsewhere.
You'd never been to other lands before, so like, what was your plan to like eat food? I imagine that Elven land, it was sort of like in abundance. Like, here's the food, here's the berries that just fall into my mouth. So, like, how did that go? First or second day showing up in Kernsland, like, what was that?
Yeah, I think as a ranger, finding food in the forest on the way south, probably not an issue.
Okay.
But once in the city proper, looking for work and, trying to survive without betraying this elven
Mm,
heritage, I think Cypher would have fairly quickly started to come upon hard times.
yeah.
And I don't think he intended to get into mercenary work, but fell into it by necessity.
Now, would your people consider what you do? And I know in our adventures, we're going to get into a little bit of your background, so I don't want to get into that too much here. But for what you do now, where you kind of take bounties and you're doing kind of gather quests and things like that, do you think that your family and the elves back home would they find that an honorable career?
I don't think they would entirely understand it.
Okay.
I think it would be not dishonorable, but sort of unfathomable.
Mm, okay.
Just not the way things are done in Elven society. Um,
Right.
yeah, I,
Yeah.
I think it would be a surprising way to earn a living. And certainly the way Cypher's past has gone, coming into that family of, mercenaries, starting out in small time with a crew that gradually goes further and further
Yeah.
until eventually Cypher is no longer comfortable with
Right.
the way this gang operates.
The Psy we meet in episode one, you're in a good place. You have a you have an interesting, we'll say, past, but you've kind of returned to your elven values and kind of come to terms with things. So you're a I would consider you a good guy that knows how to navigate, maybe lives by a higher code, um, but you're trying to navigate human rules and all that. But what are your life goals? What's the 10, 20, 200 year goal for Cypher?
Yeah, I think Cypher has definitely skeletons in the closet, a
Yeah.
drive to make up for what's happened in the past. I think after breaking with the mercenary gang, uh, he's been a bit of a loner, afraid to fall into that sort of thing.
Mm,
I think it'll be some time before Cypher feels like he has um, done enough good. Um,
interesting.
so Cypher is not planning for the future right now beyond the next right decision, the next risk that needs to be taken. Um, he's, you know, uh, reacting. Um, he's not being terribly proactive, and probably won't until some unknown threshold is reached.
Yeah, no, I like that. And that gives you kind of a little flaw that you're not ready to move on. I mean, you've kind of tasted the forbidden fruit, and greed can sink back in, and lying is something you've done before, and it has worked. And so all these things that are unfamiliar to your culture, these bad kind of vice things. Oh, hello, friend. Have come up, and yeah, you could be persuaded or tempted to fall back into that if you're not careful. So, all right, good. So that I think that gives us a pretty good picture of Psy and what he is up to. So go ahead and put on the mantle of Psy now. We're gonna have a little bit of fun. I'm just gonna ask you 10 rapid fire kind of silly one sentence kind of answer questions, and let's just see what happens. So, all right, Psy, why don't you tell me what is your favorite color?
Favorite color is black.
Excellent. Beer or wine for you?
Beer.
And when you die, what do you hope people remember you for?
I would hope that they don't remember me much at all. But
Okay, that's fair.
if they do, I hope that what finally takes me out is something that was worthwhile.
You're a good dancer.
Yes,
Excellent. Would you rather be slightly late or super early every time?
super early.
Super
Every
early. What is a simple, ordinary food that you will never eat? You just hate it.
the more moldy cheeses.
Okay,
Never
the
any of those.
smellier. Okay, the smellier cheeses. You mentioned you have some scars. How did you get that worst scar that you've got?
The worst scar?
Yeah.
The worst scar is one that's not as visible as the rest. Um, but it was received when I left the mercenary gang. They didn't take
Oh,
kindly to my leaving.
so it was more of an escape. I like that. What's your most irrational fear?
Comfort.
Oh, interesting. What do you think when you think of your possessions? What's the most unusual thing that you've collected but you cherish it?
I have a thin worked metal bracelet that I brought with me from home.
Oh, nice. Okay. And then you're at the tavern. Would you prefer a platter of meat or a platter of fruit and cheese?
Fruit and cheese.
Fruit and cheese. All right. Well, Mike and Cy, thank you for spending a little bit of your afternoon with me, and thanks so much.
You bet.